is up, everyone? Crunchy Frog here, and today I wanted to bring you a little bit of news that we just received in regards to Modern Warfare 3 Zombies. So if you didn't know, as of today, I'm recording this on November 7th, they have just released some info, a blog post, like I said, regarding everything zombies, about the new zombies mode. And originally, as you know, as I've spoken about before, I really have not been excited for this. I really was not anticipating this. It didn't, really strike my fancy whatsoever. However, I will say, after listening to some of these, bits of information and learning more about the mode, I am, at the very least, my interest is piqued. I'm not super psyched and pumped for it like I would be a traditional zombies experience, but I definitely think there's some gems in here, some really cool info, and some really cool things they're trying to do with the mode that, at the very least, might be worth a couple of hours of gameplay here in the first couple of weeks. So, with that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to break down all of the main points from the blog post. Obviously, I will link the blog post in the description so you can go through, read everything, look at all the pictures, everything like that in more exhaustive detail, but we're just going to cover the main points to keep this nice and short. So, as always, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to leave a like. It helps the channel immensely as we try to grow to 500 subscribers. And likewise, if you enjoy this type of content and want to see more, make sure to hit that subscribe button to help us reach 500 subs as we cover all things Modern Warfare 3 in this upcoming year. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. Now, the big thing is, this is called Operation Deadbolt, is what they're calling the Zombies mode. And as you know, it basically takes place on the new Warzone map, Urzikstan, sorry, and apparently it is the only way to play the new Warzone map, at least until I believe Season 1 is when the new map comes. So at the very least, you'll have a couple weeks to familiarize yourself with the map, get in there, learn the points of interest, how the map flows while you're playing some zombies, and then obviously you Warzone players can hop on the map whenever it finally launches, so that's a cool thing. So obviously the first thing they talked about was the main menu. It's a little bit different than the rest of the game. It'll let you check out the lobby, your gear, strike team, customize, and battle pass, and then obviously the horrendous in-game store. So it seems a little more tailored directly to zombies as opposed to the traditional multiplayer menus. And then it also goes on to say that there is a UI for checking your zombies missions, obviously with missions and stuff like that playing such an integral role to this, like that did in DMZ. Remember, this is basically just DMZ but slightly upgraded and with zombies, so keep that in mind throughout all this. So obviously there's UI for checking your zombies missions. They didn't show the menus from what I could see, but seems pretty much like standard fare. Now, the first thing then they go on to speak about is the strike team, which it kind of seems like DMZ, how you got your operators and stuff like that. Now, they did say you can use any of the operators in the game, so that's really cool as well. And basically they also talked about the on-soldier gear. So the gear you find during missions is saved there, such as kill streaks, armor, gas mask, medical, those type of things. Again, think in terms of DMZ. If you're familiar with the DMZ and how that functioned, especially towards the end of its life cycle, pretty much identical here. There's also 2 new zombie exclusive operators. Well, I should take that back. They're not exclusive to the zombie mode, but they're unlocked via the zombie mode, and that would be Ripper and Scorch. So those can be unlocked via the zombies mode there. It goes on to then talk about rucksacks, which is basically the backpacks from DMZ. Once again, functions very similar to that system. Obviously, you store loot found on the battlefield, or you can craft it via schematics. And one of the things that they did mention is you're going to have to do a couple missions, or a couple, exfils first, so it doesn't sound like you can access your backpack right away. You kind of got to do almost like a tutorial of sorts first. So then they talked about loadouts. All the Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 weapons are available. So again, probably getting close to, if not over, 100 weapons that you can use in this game mode. And just like with DMZ, there's insured slots and contraband slots, everything like that that you're familiar with in terms of bringing weapons in and out of the combat zone. There's also all the list of tacticals and lethals. I'm not going to go through them here. You can check out the blog post for that. But again, they detail every tactical and lethal piece of equipment that you can bring into zombies. Next, they talk about zombies field upgrades, which sound like basic ultimate abilities, or any of the most recent zombie modes. You typically have that for lack of a better term, just yet, like a field upgrade, like you would get multiplayer. But they have various effects. They talk about the energy mine, which sounds like it just spawns an explosive on the ground, kind of like a trip mine of sorts. There's Frenzy Guard, which repairs your armor to full and kind of forces enemies to target you, kind of like a taunt crowd control type ability if you think in terms of RPGs or MMOs. And any kills you get while this item is active refills your armor, so it makes you just like a tank. Everything focuses you. The next one is Healing Aura, where basically you just heal all players immediately and revive anyone in last stand. Frost Blast, which damages enemies with a blast and then slows all the other ones who kind of enter that area of effect. Next is Ether Shroud, which you basically become invisible, kind of like Zombie Blood from past games. And finally, it mentions Tesla Storm, which for 10 seconds, lightning connects to other players, stunning and damaging normal enemies. That one sounds more like an ultimate ability than some of the rest of these. So again, if you think in RPG terms, these are kind of like little abilities or ultimates that you can cast. I don't recall really how you get them. I don't even know if it went into detail on how you get them, but I would assume you can loot those around the world and eventually put them in your loadout. Next up, they talked about acquisitions and schematics. So, like I talked about before, after a few successful missions, you can begin placing items in your rucksack to then use again. You can also start crafting those schematics. Acquisitions are basically single-use items. If you extract with them, you can then add them to your stash and basically add them to your backpack later on to load in with. And the schematics are plans, which are really rare and sought after, that permanently allow you to craft acquisition items. And there's a cooldown period after which they can be brought into an exclusion zone, so I'm not sure what that means. Maybe you have to play a round or two after exfilling with one before you can start using it. I wasn't quite sure on what they meant with that. We'll see more closer to release. Next up, they have a picture of all of the perks. Now, I'll probably put those up on screen here for like 20 or 30 seconds as I read through them. Obviously, I'm not going to read what each one does. A lot of them are familiar. You've seen them, you've played with them for years, but we have Deadshot Daiquiri, Death Perception, Elemental Pop, Juggernog, PhD Flopper returns, thank goodness, Quick Revive, Speed Cola, Stamina Up, and Tombstone Soda. So again, you can check those out. They're all just kind of like pop cans now instead of like the antique bottles from the earlier World at War games. So that's pretty cool. You can loot those around, and I think you can eventually craft those. There's also the perk machine. So next up, they talk about ammo mods. So these kind of sound like the Pack-a-Punch perks from Black Ops 3. So we have stuff like Brain Rot, Cryo Freeze, Dead Wire, Napalm Burst, and Shatter Blast. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on those, but basically they're mods that you could equip to your weapon to have a special effect trigger occasionally. So again, think Black Ops 3 zombies with the Pack-a-Punch perks. Next up, they did touch on the Wonder Weapons. Now 3 are shown. Again, I'll probably post that screenshot here. But 3 are kind of teased in different images there. They are craftable schematics, so it sounds like there would be a cool way to go around, get the parts to craft them. And from what I can tell, there's definitely a ray gun and the Wunderwaffe EG2. But yeah, I can't really tell what the middle one is. I think maybe a jet gun or thunder gun, something like that. We'll have to find out. Maybe it's a new weapon. We'll have to find out when that drops. But again, these are all craftable schematics, so it'll be cool to see how we actually go about getting them. I'm sure that'll be related to a quest or an Easter egg or something like that. Next up, now I copied pretty much the entire paragraph because it just made more sense. But basically, just to explain missions, the article states, begin to acclimate to the horrors of Urzikstan Exclusion Zone and commence a multi-layered storyline that focuses on a variety of tiered missions in 3 acts. Not all missions are immediately accessible, and the mission you wish to complete, which may have one or multiple tasks, is highlighted. Mission completion rewards, including acquisitions, cosmetic items, durable items, double XP tokens, are all visible prior to infill. Now, you can complete tasks within a mission and receive unlocked missions and rewards. You can complete missions within a tier and receive unlocked missions and rewards. Complete all the tiers to finish an act and receive unlocked missions and rewards. And complete all 3 acts to receive a redacted, it says, and continue to uncover the mysteries plaguing the exclusion zone prior to the storyline continuation at season 1. So basically it just breaks down how those challenges and missions and everything are stacked. you complete a couple of tasks to then complete a mission, to then complete an act, to then complete, the whole thing, get a reward. And then obviously, going forward, they did say they're going to add story and Easter eggs and more quests and more missions, stuff like that. Again, think DMZ. It's going to be a very similar mission structure to what we had in DMZ, but this time zombie focused. Maybe they're going to try to throw some storyline in there with that as well. Beyond missions, is the stuff that they said you could do in game. Obviously, do contracts for essence, which is replacing money. But similar to the point system that you remember from old zombie games, you can then spend that essence on stuff like perks and pack-a-punch and buy stations and all of those. Again, the buy stations function just like DMZ. You get kill streaks and equipment, stuff like that. There's also wall buys, which is really cool, coming back from zombies. And then there is the mystery box, so obviously fan favorite there. And like I mentioned above, pack-a-punch, and then obviously the wonder weapons. It just says redacted, so I'm not sure, they're being secretive a lot about the wonder weapons. So yeah, that about wraps up everything that they covered in that or in that blog post rather. So yeah, a lot of this, it's going to depend on how cool and interesting the missions are and the rewards that you get for them, kind of how they're incentivized. But it definitely sounds more interesting to me than it did originally. Obviously, as you guys know, I'm still not happy that we're not getting a traditional round-based. I'm a huge round-based guy. I love the handcrafted maps with nice story and all of that stuff. These just feel like kind of cop-outs, for lack of a better term, right? It just feels like an easier way. Oh, look, guys, we put zombies into a mode that already exists on a map that already exists, and it just an easy way to get out of it, essentially. So, but beyond that, it definitely sounds a little more fun than it did a couple weeks ago to me, so I'm definitely going to have to give this a look. And then obviously too, I wanted to mention before the end of the video that they did go over, there's an entire camo and mastery camo for zombies for all the weapons for both Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 guns. So that's super cool. That'll add a nice grind to the game, and that honestly might be one of the biggest things that I use zombies for. I really got into the weapon camo grind in Modern Warfare 2, and I plan on doing so again in Modern Warfare 3. So if anyone enjoys that grind, if anyone enjoys getting camos for guns, especially some really cool looking camos, definitely you're going to be in love because there's a lot for you to do here. So yeah, that about wraps it up, guys. So let me know in the comments section below what your thoughts on this. Are you going to try out the new zombie mode? Do you like what you see, or you're still skeptical? And yeah, basically just leave me any thoughts you have on the zombie mode here for Modern Warfare 3. And as always, guys, if you want to hear day-to-day quick thoughts and reactions to various posts, follow me on X, formerly Twitter. The link will be down below. If you want to see me stream these games, the link to my Twitch is down there as well. Make sure you drop a follow. And as always, guys, if you enjoy this content, make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be covering everything Modern Warfare 3 here for at least the next year. So stay tuned and stay updated there. So until the next one, guys, have a good one.